You're watching NASA TV.
Good afternoon and welcome. This is Mission Control Houston. You're looking at a live view of the International Space Station's POISC module, and right now 2 cosmonauts are inside with their Orlan spacesuits on, getting ready to step outside and go on a spacewalk. Let's go over some of the tasks of the day. The overall goal, of course, is to get the experiment lock onto the Nauka module after its robotic movement from Rassvet to Nauka. Here's a step-by-step look at how they're going to do that. After exiting the airlock, Prokopyev and Petelin will make their way over to the Rassvet module to find the attached experiment airlock. They'll disconnect the assembly interface cables, basically unplugging it from Rassvet, remove its protective thermal covers, and undo the launch locks on Rassvet. Then Andrej Fedjajev at the controls of the European Robotic Arm, ERA, will move the experiment airlock over to Nauka while Petelin and Prokopyev monitor, and then move over to Nauka themselves. If time permits, and it looks like we may be able to do that today, they'll go ahead and mate the cable connections between the two, and we'll finish off the day by jettisoning some trash items away.
Russian Spacewalk 57 will be conducted by Sergei Prokopyev, EV1 in the red stripes, and Dmitry Petelin, EV2 in the blue stripes. Andrej Fedjajev will assist as SUDIV and European Robotic Arm, ERA, operator. To start the spacewalk, crew will egress the POISC airlock, turn on the helmet video and lights, then begin translation to Strela 2, a telescopic pole that can be used as a crane to move crew and equipment around. Sergei and Dmitry will translate station forward via Strela 2 until they reach the Zarya module. From there, they'll move Nader onto the Rassvet module to the airlock. At the worksite, crew will reconfigure connectors and cables between the airlock and the Zarya module. Sergei will then remove the multi-layer insulation cover on the airlock and inspect the mating surface. Meanwhile, Dmitry will remove a protective cover. Crew will then work together to release launch locks on the nadir and zenith sides of the airlock. ERA will then release the airlock from the Zarya module and relocate it to the Nauka module. The EV crew will remove additional pieces of equipment, close MLI flaps, and set up the bundle for jettison. EV1 and EV2 then translate back station aft along Strela 2 to the POISC airlock with the jettison bundle. Dmitry stows the jettison bundle on Strela 1 while Sergei retrieves a cable for the airlock and Nauka module connections. Once equipment stowage and retrieval is complete, crew will use Strela 1 to translate station Nadir to the Nauka module. They'll set up at the airlock install worksite and coordinate with ERA to berth the airlock to Zarya. EV1 and EV2 will retrieve the cable and mate the connections from the new airlock to the Zarya panel. Once complete, they'll translate back to the POISC airlock via Strela 1. Dmitry will retrieve the jettison bundle and ingress the operator's post of Strela 1. Dmitry will then jettison the bundle station aft. Crew will meet back up at the Poisk airlock, where they'll perform a tool inventory, inspect each other's suits, ingress, and close the hatch, ending Russian EVA 57.
Egressing. Okay, I've egressed.
Так, и, значит, СТО.
It's a dark view as the International Space Station is in an orbital nighttime, but if you look to the right of the airlock, right at the center of your screen, you will begin to see our spacewalkers exit the hatch, or egress as you may hear it referred to during our coverage today. Those red words are the upside down Cyrillic. In Russian it says the Poisk airlock. And you can see it on your screen too. As they said, here comes the sun. The International Space Station is moving into an orbital daytime. The spacewalkers are now working to move over to their work site on the Rossviet module. In their procedures, they're going to use the Strela 2 boom. Strela means arrow in Russian. It's a telescoping pole that crew can use to move around. To give you a better picture of what I mean by telescoping, think of a bicycle seat. It can extend up and down if you need to adjust it, but most of the time it's locked into place. That's kind of how Strela 2 operates. Strela 1 is on the Poisk module as well. They'll use the boom to travel along its path to get to the Zarya module, then carry on to the Rossviet module where the experiment airlock is. It looks like there was some chatter about possibly another path that they could take over there too. Spacewalkers in this overall view on the Strela boom making their way to the work site. You may hear the word translate. Where do we translate to? Where are they going? This means the path that they're going to take to best configure their tethers so they don't get tangled, and the ground is also giving them some warnings of what they should not be attaching their tethers to. Sometimes there's some sensitive hardware outside of the International Space Station. They're making their way over to the Rossviet module.
And I have hooked myself to the handrail. With something.
There are two Lirka lock pins, yes, and then you should see the dummy. Yes, I see one dummy. I believe that Sergey will need to rotate, and probably you'll have to translate to dummy. No, go ahead and secure the lock to the lever, and then Lirka is next, and one more wire tie on handrail 150. You need to move it.
Сергей, можно спаковать разъем.
Well, now
Разъемом 2910.
you are go to meet to 1 to 210 to 2910.
And you just heard a call that one of the spacewalkers saw the moon and that it was wonderful. You can kind of see it peeking between the Earth and the space station, that tiny dot over there in the distance.
Yes, I could. I could use my red.
Не надо, потому что мы потом будем
No,
носить этот
not the bigger red. No.
эту укладку свернутую, поэтому надо.
You will use it for your bundle later.
Так. Освободили FT. Одеяло.
MLI is grayed up now.
Какая мишень разноцветная. Так, снимай.
I like the color orange.
Да, полностью снимаем чехол и по...
Docking port. Maybe I should go over to Dmitry.
Там, может быть, со стороны транспортировочного кронштейна,
Maybe
транспортного
by
кронштейна,
the
который вот эти рога,
transportation
стороны американского
bracket. Yeah, we can translate over onto the bracket.
Со стороны американского сегмента я сейчас. Приступаю.
It's in work.
Так, вышло.
Is it out? Yes, it's out.
And Mission Control Moscow has given their go. The airlock is now going to be moved just slightly away from the Rosviet module using the robotic arm, and the spacewalkers are going to help disengage it.
Okay.
Принято, спасибо.
Copy. Airlock is not obstructed. Copy.
Полметра от замка.
Unintelligible.
To give you an idea of what we're looking at today, you can see the European robotic arm that extends from the upper left-hand side of your screen to dead center. It's attached to the experiment airlock. That's that white cylindrical thing that you see right at the center of your screen, amongst some other external hardware of the International Space Station. And just to the left of that experiment airlock, you see one of our spacewalkers closely monitoring the gap that has now been created.
And in particular with the valves, with the flaps. Okay.
Сейчас примерно расстояние.
Dmitry, what's the approximate distance now?
3 метра.
3 meters.
Течением уже можно.
So do you believe that we can proceed with the next activity? Yes.
Вот тяг, вот замков.
Yes. It's already out enough. Okay.
Да, Дим, тогда ты
All right, Dima.
On the other side of this airlock relocation, Andrej Fedjajev is going to do very similar steps to what he's doing now. So at the moment, he just backed away the experiment airlock from the Rosviet module, paused when it was about 10 feet away. You can see the spacewalkers doing some inspection, some closeout tasks at the moment right now. Once he slowly moves that over to the Nauka module, he's going to do the same thing. He's going to get it into the vicinity of the Nauka module and pause. The spacewalkers are going to make their way over to the Nauka module to greet it, and then they're going to assist slowly as Fedjajev inches it in to eventually make it to the Nauka module.
And
The experiment airlock slowly but surely moving over to the Nauka module from its original home on the Rosviet module. The cosmonauts are on the Rosviet module doing some closeout tasks. They're removing some airlock tie rods, closing multi-layer insulation flaps. That's that protective jacket that protects the hardware from the harsh realities of space. And then they're going to set up their bundle of hardware from this spacewalk and from previous spacewalks as well to prepare to jettison it at the end of the spacewalk.
Так что в целом, наверное, можно оставить их быть включенными на следующих свидетелях.
And leave them on as you translate towards the translation ring.
Ну, в принципе, я готов.
I'm ready to translate.
You can see the experiment airlock on your screen now at the hands of the robotic arm, getting slightly closer to the Naoka module. Meanwhile, the spacewalkers are wrapping up their activities at the Rassvet module, where the experiment airlock once was, and are going to start moving over to meet that experiment airlock over at Naoka.
Okay. I think I need to correct the direction here a little bit and twist it the other way.
You can see the progress that the experiment airlock has made, making its way over to the Naoka module. You can still see it in motion. Towards the very bottom of your screen, by those solar panels, you can sort of see our spacewalkers, Prokopyev and Petelin, as they make their way over. They're stopping at the radiator. That's that rectangle shape that you see. During the previous spacewalk just last month, they did very similar steps that they're doing today, moving the radiator from the Rassvet module over to Naoka. While they're going to be passing the radiator, they're going to take this opportunity to do an inspection of the radiator, take some imagery, because in the third spacewalk of this series, they're going to be pumping coolant and getting it online.
Check those blankets that are nearby, like on the right side from the connectors.
Вот это место.
You're talking about this one.
Тут тоже свободный.
Yeah, this one's free as well. Yes, it's free.
Заел, но нет.
It looked like it might have gotten stuck, but it's not. To the left, it's good. On the right, there are no MLI blankets.
Good. Well, maybe 100 degrees.
We're back with our This is a new view that we have. It's a camera on the Russian segment of the International Space Station looking at a docking target on the airlock as it inches closer and closer. You can see the blue docking target that Fedjajev is using to align with the European robotic arm. As we talked about a moment ago, Andrej Fedjajev is just on the other side of that camera, adjusting it so that they can get a better view of the alignment. The view that you're receiving now is from inside the Russian segment of the International Space Station as it looks out at the as it looks out at the experiment airlock. We've been exploring a number of options today to get that experiment airlock just aligned perfectly, whether that's Andrej Fedjajev adjusting a camera on the inside of the Russian segment for a better view, repositioning the cosmonauts, Dmitry Petelin and Sergei Prokopyev for a better view, and also even discussing the position of the robotic arm as well. There's a lot of factors at play. And the alignment was successful with the help of the two cosmonauts, and now the hooks are driving.
I believe the remaining gap is about 1 to 2 millimeters. Maximum half centimeter. Okay. The closure command has gone through, and we actually have an indication that the capture is confirmed. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
And so we start with connect to patch panel 14. Yes, you may start there. And also at the same time you could do connect to patch panel 29. So you pick which one. I'm in front of 29. 5 and plate, connect to plate 29. 5, I'm removing the cover. Starting to work.
And you can see our spacewalkers in motion. Petelin and Prokopyev have successfully installed those electric lines. They put some insulation over it so that their newly installed electrical lines have some protection against the environment of space. And now they're on the move.
You're clear. I'm flying. Flying away.
Now that the cosmonauts are in an orbital daytime, now they're getting ready for the jettison.
Can you hook it to yourself? Yes. Yes, it's tethered to me, all this bundle. Yes, you are go up to. If you are sure about the direction of jettison, then yes. All right.
And there it goes.
Excellent.
Пока.
All right, bye-bye.
Красиво пошло, да?
Just flies beautifully. And we are monitoring.
Это будет звезда.
That would be a new star.
Да, блестит хорошо.
Yeah, it's actually quite shiny.
Наблюдаем, как пошло.
We see
Мимо
the path. It bypassed the station. Excellent initial velocity.
Back the space station.
Let us
The bundle included 5 objects from today's spacewalk, including the insulation blanket on the end of the experiment airlock. That end is now installed to Nauka and no longer needs a cover. It also includes 3 objects from Petelin and Prokopiev's previous spacewalk back in April, and 2 pieces of hardware from an even earlier spacewalk. The bundle is about 11 pounds total and will harmlessly burn up in Earth's atmosphere soon after.
Если ты нас слышишь, можешь выйти,
you
пожалуйста.
can
We're getting our final views of that bundle now.
please call us in SG1.
Принято.
Copy.
Все, светильники.
Это
Copy.
И светильники выключены.
And the CLUs are also off.
They continue to work to get their spacesuits into the proper configuration. This includes turning off their high-definition helmet cameras and their spacesuit lights.